launch that. My good old chatty. I need to refresh this page. The chat. Test the chat. The chat is working. Team's looking good. Channel info. Okay. Alright, I should be ready. It seems like. Hopefully. Right. Well. Let's see. Doesn't look good on Twitch. I don't see it on Twitch. Twitch not working? Doesn't look like I have any dropped frames. But I can't see it on Twitch. If it's the same on YouTube. Right. I almost started watching videos. Damn, it's so easy to get distracted with YouTube. My channel. Okay, allegedly I am live. Okay, I am live on YouTube. Not on Twitch. Interesting. Because on Twitch it just shows loading screen. It says I'm live. Very suspicious. Okay, well, I guess I'll just leave it as is. Hopefully it works. Right. So, I guess a good portion of today's stream will be helping out one of my followers with his assignment. Alright. So I guess we can take a look at the assignment first. One image. Done in 3 images. See? Copy link. Second part and the last part. Hopefully this assignment makes more sense than the previous one. Okay. Yo, you're almost at 50 followers. Yeah, I'm surprised that I'm growing. I'm not doing any special content. Hey, welcome back, Risk. Right. So, well, I guess today's stream will be mostly helping Moefro with his assignment. Apparently, he had like a family thing happen, and he got behind with tasks. So I'm not sure how much he would be comfortable with me sharing, but basically, yeah, he had a family emergency, let's say, and yeah, he fell behind, and he's really asking me pretty much to to do his exercise for him. So, which, you know, in any other case I would say no, but no, since he's been around for a while, and it is like, you know, in situations like that, like, I don't really mind helping him out, because I know he puts in honest effort at studying and trying to understand whatever this is. That is why I decided to stream it as well. Looks like someone stole your idea. That wouldn't be the first time. Let's see what's that about. Tiny gadget is a VPN for life. Ah, okay. That's cool. Oh, Unbox Therapy. Okay. Let's see. So well, Unbox Therapy usually reviews stuff. I'm not claiming to be the first one to thought of that. of making a VPN, like a peer-to-peer VPN, which is not, doesn't have a centralized provider, but I guess we can discuss it later. Like, it has some significant downsides. Same idea where someone gives crypto for their bandwidth. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is a good idea. It's just how you implement it. But I guess if someone already made it, they will have the benefit of being first. So yeah, we'll see if it actually catches on, because a lot of the adoption, like the adoption will depend a lot on whether it's managed properly and how it's advertised and so on. Because it will, if it claimed to safeguard your privacy and so on, then yeah, I don't see it being adopted widely, because it doesn't really increases your privacy. Like none of the VPNs actually increase your privacy. You just shift the ability to spy on your traffic from one place to another, and that's pretty much it. And the question is, which do you trust more? Your current ISP provider and your government, or do you trust some random company, or in this case, do you trust some random person on the internet? Oh, you know. There are downsides to all of these. And if they don't communicate that properly, then yeah, it will just... Eventually it will... yeah, something bad will happen, and people will say that this was misrepresented when it was advertised and so on. So, you know, something to keep in mind. Right, so let's take a look at this assignment. Allow you to understand and demonstrate a role of user-defined modules. A Python module is a file that contains one or more functions, definitions, or classes. Can you confirm that you PayPal thing? Yeah, I got the PayPal from the last time, so yeah, it all worked fine. Only a few minutes. Okay, I'll read through the assignment. Modules play a vital role in making more reusable code that can be shared between projects or with other programs. A module you create is just like any other module in Python standard library. Yeah, that is true. So for this time I sent it another. Not really sure what you mean by that. Don't use any other different PayPals, because I only have one. So if you're sending it to someone else, like, don't do that. That's what I'm saying. Not sure. I think I sent it on Twitch. Not on Twitch. Oh, I didn't send it via Discord. Oh yeah, I did. And that's my email. Oh, you sent different amounts. Okay, well, I appreciate that. Like it. Well, as I said, I am kind of doing my own thing and not really successful. So, you know, any support helps. But for helping out with an exercise, like, it's not strictly necessary. Like I would be helping out whether you decided to pay or not. Like, I see it like as more as a gesture of as a thank you, not as a strictly payment for doing this exercise for you. Welcome, man. You're saving my Python thing. Yeah, I want to pay because it is my way of thanking. Yeah. So that's how I see it as well. I don't see it like you're paying me to, like, it's not like a transactional thing. That's what I meant. Right. So requirements. So far, judging from the title or intro to the site, it doesn't seem to be too complicated. So just making multiple files. This assignment, you will write a program that demonstrates the use of user-defined modules by invoking functions from imported modules. The program will accept a distance value and unit of length, miles or kilometers. Not sure which you prefer. I imagine miles, because I think it's still what's used in everyday life in US. Even though, like, pretty sure like officially US has adopted like metric system, but people just don't use it. Like the people are not used to it, and yeah, there is no reasonable, there is no reason to switch to metric in your everyday life, anyways. Oh, that's beside the point. So, and we'll call functions with your user-defined modules to convert the distance to the unit of length. Oh, you will create two modules that contain the function, one convert miles to kilometers and one to convert kilometers to miles. Your program should continue converting entered distances until the user chooses to discontinue the program. So it will be in an infinite loop until probably you enter some specific character, or maybe not whatever is not an actual number. Right. You will begin creating a module that calls the conversion functions. Start a new Python file and build each function to do appropriate conversions. Create a module named miles. Well, that's enough. Very, very, very self-explanatory as a step. Okay, let's see how can I do this. Probably will just create a new folder in my learning project. I don't think it's worth creating a new project just for this. Moefro. And we create a module which is just a file. So module in Python, files of Python code, like files with an extension .py are called modules. Yes, that's just how it is. Other languages don't really have modules. Like for Java, for example, it doesn't refer to its source files as modules, like they're just files, and that's it. But as well, I guess it doesn't really matter. The packages, both in Python and in other programming languages like Java, packages are folders, basically, that have all of the source files, and just Python just goes an extra step calling the files inside that folder modules, which other languages usually don't bother. It's an odd thing about Python, I guess. But there is a legitimate use for that term, because you can import modules. So you import the whole file with all of its internal global variables and so on. And when you import stuff in other languages, you usually import the class or a specific part of the file that you define. Usually, at least. Or you don't usually import files. I don't think you can import files, for example, in Java. You usually import the package itself, so you import the whole folder and whatever is in it. Or you can import specific class definitions or classes from that package. I'm not actually sure if that's 100% accurate, but the idea is the same. Like the idea should hold, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so package miles, so it will be miles.py. See what else does it say. Create a function within this module named convert to miles. Okay, so we have miles package or file. Have it open here. Don't really need this anymore. So they want me to want us to define a function convert to miles. So that convert. What's it called? So double T convert to miles, and I assume it accepts kilometers. Kilometers. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. You don't need to define a type. Right. Create a function, sets one value, and returns the converted value when called. Okay, so kilometers to miles. What will be the result? Return kilometers times. So, okay, I need to Google this. I don't really know the conversion. I think we don't use miles at all Oh, unless maybe in UK they do. Miles to kilometers. What's the conversion? 1.6. So I know that it's around 1.6. What's the other way? Working switch. Convert my kilometers to miles. It's the other way around, kilometers. So 0.621, okay, that. Just multiply by this, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So when we call this function, it will take a number, multiply it by this value, which basically is the ratio between kilometers and miles, and return the value. Why is it so? This number changed? No, it didn't. I guess it's not exactly. Yeah, it doesn't. You can't really convert exactly miles to kilometers, kilometers to miles. Yeah, this is whatever. Like 0.9. Yeah, 6 nines after the dot. So after comma. Well, here in Lithuania it's comma, in US it's they use dots. And yeah, well, localization and stuff. Right. So far so good. Create another module named kilometers. I imagine, yeah, it will be the same. New file kilometers.py, and I guess the function will be convert to kilometers. Fine. Convert to kilometers. Take miles. Return miles times the ratio 1.6.09. For an approximate result, divide the length value by. Actually, yeah, I can divide by this value. I don't have to multiply it. Yeah, let's use the same number. I think it will be nicer that way. A little bit more consistent. Use the same number. So in one case we divide by it, and in another case we multiply by it. Convert to kilometers, convert to miles. Okay, I guess we'll test it at the end, see if the conversion makes sense. In case something is not right, should be good. Right. So kilometers to miles, miles to kilometers. So I imagine this is the definition how you are supposed to convert, but this seems good enough. I don't think there are other cases to cover. Hint: modules are created as Python files with the same .py file extension as your main program file. Your module must be written with the same folder directory as your program file in order to invoke functions from them. Well, it doesn't have to be. Like, we will do it this way, just to make importing a little bit easier. But yeah, it doesn't have to be like that. Reference, okay, we're not gonna look at the reference. Next, you will create your Python program to accept user input from a distance value and unit of length, miles or kilometers, or kilometers. You will start by including the import statement as the loop of this program. Import both miles and kilometers modules you just created. You will start by including the import statements at the top. Okay, I can't read. Okay, let's create our program. I guess by convention people call it main, their main file. So same. Now we just import kilometers, and miles. Oh, I think it doesn't like that I put it in a subfolder, Moefro. So for this to work, import Moefro. Frost, Moefro, kilometers, and Moefro miles. Should be fine. And use the import, okay. Not unresolved. Moefro. Alright, let's move them out to the top directory so I wouldn't have to do this. It shouldn't matter. Snippet. Need a snippet. Okay, let's see if it's moved. Enter the name of the file to be created with the pasted content. I think I wanna, okay, like this. To the package, planning, okay. Update references. The exception occurred. What the hell? Wrong with it? I'm confused. Headlining project. Okay, I can move one by one. Oh, I guess main is already created? Okay, I can do it one by one. Okay. There. Okay, so now I have two imports. Import miles, import kilometers, and I can access them or call the functions defined in those packages. Right, I will start including imports. We'll import both miles and kilometers. Reference reminder, these three Python files must exist within the same directory. Yep. Initialize variables. You should create two flag variables. Initialize them to the value true. One for when an invalid value is entered, and one for when the user chooses to stop the processing. For example, valid value and processing, and both are true. Okay. Valid value. Valid value, which is true. A little bit odd to do it this way. But I'm sure he changes his mind along the way, like remembering how his other assignments were formulated. Like that wouldn't surprise me. I imagine like what I expect is stuff to make less and less sense the further in I go. So far it's reasonable, I guess. Processing is true as well. Right, create a conditional loop that will continue the process until the user chooses to exit. So I guess until the processing is true. Do that while processing to the loop. Okay. Yes, we're done with the first part. Create a conditional loop. Oh, so this continues. Use the processing flag you just created in step 3 as your test condition. Yeah, that's what we did. So while processing is true, we continue with the loop. Accept a distance value and unit of length from the user and store those two values in variables. Use prompt search. Please enter distance value. Okay. How can I read, right? Oh. Actually need to look back at the older exercises. I can't really remember how they actually read values from the console. It's not something you usually do. What project was it in? Buildbot? It was in configuration, but actually. cheating. Of oh, input. That's how you read it. Okay. Right. Oh, we'll do the same. Now the text we provide is please enter distance value. Value. Assign the value to distance, for example. What is the unit of length? So m for miles, km for kilometers. Well, yeah. Let me units, right? Units, put pretty much the same thing, except you expect either k or km, m or km. Where was the text? The unit of length. It is the unit of length. And that's how it's spelled. I just want to double check. Oh, actually I spelled it correctly. That's nice. Alright. M equals miles, km kilometers, okay. So M equals miles, km equals kilometers. That seems, oh yeah, semicolon. Do it to the letter. Right. Preface your input statement with float to ensure the values they enter is stored as a decimal number for the use in the conversion formulas. Okay, we can do that. So we do float. Just to make sure it's a floating point number. Oh, actually, this is not a float. It's just a letter. Expect a single letter to be here. Let's say preface your input statement. Okay, so I guess it's talking about one input statement, which is for distance. Okay, incorporate a decision structure to check the unit of length entered by the user and call the appropriate conversion function from your user-defined modules. I guess it's clear what we have to do in each case. So it's a simple if statement. If units is equal to m, we call miles. Call yeah, it was miles. Convert to kilo. Miles. Wait. I did it wrong. Convert to kilometers. Wait, so miles has convert to miles and kilometers has convert to kilometers? Did I mix them up? Yeah, so miles is supposed to have convert to miles. Okay, I thought it would be backwards. Okay, well, if I was naming them and assigning them to the module, I would do it other way around, but okay. So when we get miles, we call kilometers. Yeah, this is backwards. You should be calling module in miles since you already have miles. So to do stuff with miles, you call module miles. Usually, that's how most of the packages are structured. You don't call whatever, well, I guess you can do it both ways, but this seems more natural. Okay, convert to kilometers. And we take in distance. Oh, actually, I probably need to print it out somehow. Store the result of the function. Function call in a new variable. Converted. Oh, they want to do it like this. Okay. So we want to store the method itself. So convert distance. Okay. Well, if they're asking for that, then that's what will they get. So the result of the function. Oh, converted distance. Okay. Converted distance. We actually do the call. Save the result. Right. Use an else statement for any other values and set the valid value flag to false. Indicate an invalid value is entered. Okay, valid value false. Right. So first of all, we need if or elif. Right. So in other case, we have units equal to km. Those are the stuff. Pretty much, well, it's the same thing, but we call miles or to miles. Store result in the same variable. I'm pretty sure it will be fine if I don't define it outside the if statement. We'll see. We might need to declare it beforehand. An else statement, else, we just set valid value, false, right. The string function upper to convert the user input to uppercase. Oh yeah, that's actually a good point. So before we check, we do upper. So upper on a string, it's basically a string function, a built-in string function. So any string will have this function associated with it, and when we call it, it basically replaces all lowercase letters with uppercase letters. So for example, if I can do it here on the input, because input will return a string, like this statement will return a string, whatever we inputted, and upper will basically convert it into uppercase, and then it will be stored to the units. So I can do it here, or I can do it each time I check the value beforehand. I can do it like this. But this would require doing it twice, or in this case, we just do it once when we enter it. So, well, I guess this is a better solution. Right, also it will help if, in case we want to use it further into the code, we won't have to keep track where we will have the right value right off the bat. It will be an uppercase. So we won't have to remember to uppercase it later on. The user enters the valid unit of length, display the distance they entered, the unit of measurement, and the converted distance unit. Otherwise, display an error message. Your distance is equivalent, or you entered invalid unit of length. Okay. Again, use if else decision structure here. Concatenate the result into one string. Oh, so it has to be one string. Okay. Right. Entered a valid unit of length. Display the distance they entered. Okay. So concatenation is just a fancy way of saying combining strings, like into one string. Yeah, there are multiple ways to do it. The most simple one is just to use a plus sign. Okay, so we have this part. This part basically does the conversion and wait, and it does another. Well, I would do it in the same if statement because now we check for the same thing. If units is equal to m, says, oh wait, the actual statement says your distance of the equivalent to kilometers. So miles and kilometers will be, well, it will depend. Right. Yeah, I guess, yeah, we'll do this. So if we entered miles, your distance we want to output, print. Distance. That's how it's spelled. Yep. Distance of. Oh, I'll be fancy here because this is how you're supposed to construct strings. Like this is the way to do it. Like using plus signs is annoying. Well, okay, because it's an exercise meant to be presented to a teacher. I'd say this is the way he expects it to be done. So I won't overdo it, but this is not how you usually construct strings. But it is one way to do it. It's not a it's not a very good way, but it will work. Distance of. So now we convert our whatever value we have into string. Take what was it? Oh, distance. Distance. We add continue is equivalent to how it was written. It's equivalent. Oh yeah, miles. Specify miles. Equivalent to so and so converted, right? Do the conversion to string again. Converted distance at kilometers. That's it. Distance of such and such miles is equivalent to so and so kilometers, or you entered invalid length. Okay. So in one case we do this, else if units was provided in kilometers. Basically do the same thing, but we switch kilometers and miles around. So it will make sense. Your distance of kilometers equivalent to such and such miles. Basically the variables stay the same, but the wording of the string changes. Right. Now, if none of these get triggered, the value inputted in units was invalid. Maybe he wanted us to do something different. Let's see. If else, concatenate the result into one string. Once it's something very convoluted. Add another prompt to ask the user if they would like to continue. Press X to quit or enter to continue processing. Press X. Yeah, I imagine he means enter X as an input. Okay, let's print out the value, enter the valid length of length. Okay. Print. Entered. entered invalid. The hardest part is keeping track of how to word things. Entered an invalid unit of length. Valid unit of. You entered invalid and invalid. Okay. Entered an invalid unit of length. Right. Hopefully this is what he meant, because there are a million ways to do this. Should be fine. There is a more convoluted way to do it, which might be closer to the wording he used here. Use else, if else, decision structure to concatenate the result into one string. No. I can't imagine it being an issue. Okay, another prompt. So after all of this is done, have decision, let's say. Will be value of another input. Where we ask sex to continue. Okay. You like to continue? Like to continue. Then we explain press X. Oh, this is supposed to be the string. Press X to continue or enter X to quit. That's how it's done. Or enter to continue. Enter. Continue. Which doesn't really make sense. I guess this is just an example. Press enter X quit or yeah. Guess I'll just leave it as is. It's an example, so the user enter the value to discontinue processing, set the processing flag to false to conclude the conditional looping and end the program. Okay. If decision equal to X, we set processing to false. Right. Also, before we continue, we need to reset the valid value back to true. Otherwise, when it restarts the loop, it will keep the value. I guess we can do it here as well, at the beginning of the loop. Because we don't really use it outside the loop. Right. If no user entered the value, process flag, blah blah blah. No, these all programming examples include very minimal data validation. Feel free to expand upon this and add additional layers of validation. Okay, we can do some validation. Seven. If the user entered a valid unit of length, display the distance they entered, the unit of measurement, and the converted distance unit. Wait, if the user entered a valid unit of length. Wait, didn't we just do that? Your distance, you entered. Wait, is that? Oh, it's probably, yeah, the same, so 7. Right. Example output, please enter the value of distance value, okay. Let's do the example, let's see how it runs. Oh, new configuration, right. Here, nope. Main, run as Python. Use my console. Please enter distance value, so we enter 26.2. 46.2. The units of length, miles, so lowercase m. Okay, your distance of so and so miles is equivalent to 42.1558. Equivalent to 42.16. Not sure why the values don't match. Maybe it's, yeah, you were supposed to be, well, maybe we're supposed to use something different for the conversion. Right. Press X to quit or enter to continue processing. Press X to quit or enter to continue. Okay, so I press enter. Please enter distance value again. 5. Then unit of length, kilometers. Now it does the conversion. 3.1. 3.10. Yeah, I would say maybe he was rounding the numbers, but here he got 42.16, and here is 3.10. If the numbers were rounded, this should be 3.11, not 3.10. Yeah, this is odd how he gets these numbers. X to continue and the process. So enter X. Yeah, I'm missing this here, and maybe I add a space at the end so look a little bit nicer. Okay, so the output matches the exercise. Submit single zip file. Okay. Okay, validation. What kind of validation can we add? We didn't check how it displays if the measurement unit doesn't make sense. So 50, and we enter something that's entered in valid unit of length. Yeah, that's okay. That's good. Let's try that again. Enter miles this time. Oh, yeah, so we get a crash because we expect this to be a number. So we can check that it's actually a number. Distance. Let's see. So maybe that's what he was talking about. We should validate that this is actually a number. How can we do that? What would be the most simple way? Or the simplest way? Because I would just do try catch, but I'm not sure you learned that yet. I think there are some functions. Float. Int. Yeah, I guess we can't use anything that's not in the standard library. What would we do if we can't use anything from standard library? We just want built-in methods. Yeah, for validation. Right, format. Here, help. Change. Type. That's interesting. With one argument returns the type of an object. Return value is the type of an object, generally the same object as returned by blah blah blah. The isInstance built-in function is recommended for testing the type of an object because it takes subclasses into account. Right. Okay. So let's not do the conversion here because it will fail. And we do another check if okay, is instance of, wait, I guess we need to do it like this, distance. I should check the use. Object and instance class, okay. Not how you use it. Take distance. And we take float. We pass along float, so it will check that distance is of type float. Then we convert distance. Actually, it will always be of type float. It will be always a type string, because input just returns a string. Doesn't matter if it represents a number or not. Actually, this doesn't help us validate. Look at the built-in function float. Maybe that has some parameters we could use. Float. An infinite number, not a number. On a floating pointer. If the argument is a string, it should be contain a decimal number, optionally presented by a sign. Right, optional sign. It may also be string representing not a number. So it can be an or negative number. More precisely, input must conform to the following grammar. Right. Types. Yeah, but this will yeah, this would require using something from standard library, which I don't think is a good idea. But I don't see any other way. Yeah, it will return type error, but to get type error, to handle type error, well, maybe if since it's built in, let's see if we actually can use that. Float. I try. Catch. I will accept. Value error. Actually, we can use value error. Right. Right, and the value is incorrect. And replace this with an actual, well, we'll replace the string. So we define error. I guess we don't really, well, okay, it will be an empty string. And if we get a value error while trying to convert, we'll assign error a string, distance u. It's not a valid number. Then we can check, well, this is the only way I can think of how you can actually validate that the input is a string. That's how you usually would do it. And then you can check if it's a positive number. If distance is less than 0, error message will be distance you entered a negative number. So we can validate that as well. Then finally, if unit wasn't M or KM, we'll set error as third invalid unit of length. Wait, where was it? Here. And here we instead just print out the error, whatever it was. Right. But now, since we have multiple errors that we can display, changes the logic a little bit. Need this. So first of all, we try to read the distance. If distance fails, okay, we set that valid values to false. Value is false because the value was invalid. The same here. Then we shouldn't even ask to input anything if there's already an error. If valid value is false, yes, I can do this. If not valid value, probably didn't learn about break, but that's how you can stop the loop from executing, but we don't want to do that actually. Do you actually like this stars background? I can't see the stars myself, so I'm not sure. It's for the viewer's pleasure, let's say. Also, it replaces everything that's white. So for example, if I suddenly open a window it has a lot of white in it, yes, this could be a good example. So yeah, this window is completely white. So you just see stars instead of it all being white. So it's like a anti-flashbang protection for the viewers. I myself, I don't see the stars. They're only on the stream. Hopefully that was clear enough. Right. Not valid value. Yes, yeah, if valid is value, we continue. Otherwise, like this, we ask for the unit. Nice, so Frez is now following. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, I'm helping out one of my viewers with his assignment today. Usually I don't do that. I usually answer questions instead of actually doing the exercise, but yeah, this time it's an exception. Hopefully it's not gonna be something that turns into a rule, but it's just a rare exception. I feel like I'm trying, well, the risk I have, I see here is it becoming a little bit more complex than it was intended to. So we don't ask for units if the value is wrong, and here it's the same here. Right. Value is false. No, actually I need to validate it again separately if the value was entered. Okay, because there are different times you can actually mess up the value. Like this. So if the value is valid, we continue with this and we print the error if value is invalid. If not valid value, wrong with it. Oh, the alignment is wrong. Okay. Not a valid value, we print out an error and then we ask for if you want to continue or not. Right. So in theory, it should protect us from nonsensical inputs like this. Distance is not defined. Oh, because it was never assigned. Okay. Let's see. It assigns an error, so maybe this should be in... Yeah, I guess distance is so and so, and we have a valid value still. Actually, valid value should go first. The value is valid and it's less than 0. And even... Yeah, converting to 0, well, yeah, doesn't really matter. I guess if you enter 0, okay, now we get, yeah, distance you entered is not a valid number. Press enter to continue. We enter -9. Distance entered is a negative number, so we refuse to convert that. Otherwise, if we enter a normal value, it asks for a distance. Oh, now it asks for the distance. We enter it, then it asks is it miles or kilometers. And if we enter nonsense here, it says that invalid unit of length. Right. Continue. 20. Oh, invalid length. Okay, well, you get the idea. So this is how it looks, how it works. Hopefully it's fine. Hopefully it's not too complicated. The only thing I would be worried about is this try exception, try except statement. Maybe you haven't studied that. That might be an issue. But basically what it does, what it means, it will try to do like in... So how try except works? Certain functions, majority of the functions, let's say, when something happens, well, for example, in float, when we try to convert a number into a floating point number, if we pass along not something that is not a number, it will throw an exception. Basically, it reaches an unexpected state. It doesn't know what to do with that. So we have learned about it a bit. Oh, so if you heard about it, then yeah, that's he probably expects you to use it here. It's not out of the realm. Okay, so that's good. That's good. If you know what try, if you learned about exceptions, then yeah, he won't be shouldn't be upset with this. I'm not sure you learned anything about Sandal, but yeah, this is good because it doesn't actually import anything, any other packages. So you use just built-in functions and exceptions. Basically, yeah, it tries to do a thing, it fails, and when functions fail to do what they were supposed to do, they will generate an exception and throw it, and basically then it's up to you to handle those exceptions. And value being, well, expected value not being what it expects, generates a value error exception. Well, they call it errors in Python. Like in Python, the defined exceptions are called errors, which basically those are interchangeable terms. You can call it an error or an exception, like it's pretty much the same thing. And Python convolutes them even further, try having an exception statement, but calling all the exceptions errors. It doesn't really matter. It's both the same. It's the same thing. In other languages, they would call all the instances of the errors exceptions, but in Python, they chose to use arrows. Well, whatever. Not really important. Especially if you study that, then yeah, you shouldn't be surprised seeing this. But yeah, adding additional validation, yeah, this is just more fancy validation, checking that the value is still valid. Like if you make a mistake at any point, you input something invalid, it will just stop executing. It will output what type of error it was, and it will ask you if you want to continue or not, and that's it. And yeah, if you decide not to continue, then yeah, it just exits and yeah, does nothing. So hopefully that's good. Should be good. The inputs, oh yeah, the values. Values don't really match what was in the assignment text. Let's see, I wonder how does he get the exact values he gets. They don't really seem to make sense. Sometimes he gets more, sometimes he gets less. That's a little bit confusing. Yeah, 26.2 miles is 42.16 kilometers. 3.10 miles. Okay, maybe if we use more exact numbers. Don't use approximate numbers, we use this for miles. Actually, let's use kilometers, this looks more precise. Actually, this is not as precise. Yes, 5. Okay, this number. It wouldn't be as approximate. Let's see. It's cheating in miles. So since we use the type, we just use division, and here instead of dividing we multiply. Use the same number. Okay. See if this brings the values a little bit closer. What did he use? He used 26.2 miles. Okay, 26.2. 6.2 miles is 42.16. Okay, so maybe he doesn't display the last numbers. That would make sense. And we continue. And I think it was 5 kilometers. And he gets 3.10. So yeah, now if you truncate the output, only to have only 2 numbers, after like two numbers after the comma, or 2 decimal numbers, should be fine. I just don't remember how to do that exactly, so let's give it a quick check. Should be around about formatting strings. Let's see all this tutorial. Not gonna be built-in function even. Format, I think. Format specification mini language. Yeah, this should be. I'm looking for something that allows me to format numbers. For float, name is G. G, what does G do? For given precision, this rounds the number to significant digits, then formats the result. Right. Precision of 0, so I guess we need to use precision too. Why does it have G? Precision rules are as follows. Do we actually want to round the numbers? Yeah, it wouldn't be 3.10, it would be 3.611. We rounded them up. So we just want to cut them off. Don't really want rounding. Right. Fixed point notation for a given precision p formats the number as a decimal number with exactly p digits following the decimal point. No precision user precision of 6 digits after the decimal. Right. Digits follow the decimal point. The decimal point is so removed. Okay, how do I actually use this? Theory is good. Oh, here it is. Right. Coordinates. What about 0.6 to 1371? I think that's what I'm using at the moment. Yeah, 0 to 1371. Yeah, so this is what I'm using to do the conversion in both cases. In one case I divide and in another case I multiply, so it should be good. It's only the issue of having like so many numbers after the like 2 decimal points or 2 decimal numbers. So you don't really want all of this precision, and it doesn't look like it uses in the example. It looks like it trims out the rest of the number. So I want to do the same. I'm just trying to figure out how it's actually done. It's not something I do usually. Do you think he shortened it to 0.62? I don't think so. We can try it, but I don't think it will actually, or maybe it will. Could be done like that. Maybe. You can definitely use any number you want, but I don't think it will give us the same result. Maybe it will. So there's only one way to find out. So what was 25.2, 26.2 or something like that? There's a better way to do this. There's definitely a way to limit how many numbers after, well, how many decimal numbers you get your output. Let's see, so it was 26.2, it's the same. 26.2, it was miles. Yeah, you see, you get a completely different number, 42.25. And in his example, he got 42.16. So he wasn't using this number, he was just truncating it, like removing the trailing numbers. So let's do the same. You just need to remember how it's actually done, because it's not something you usually need. Usually you prefer numbers to be as precise as possible. Usually just don't disregard parts, unless you're doing some, like outputting it to the user at the end. But yeah, usually you do it differently. And I usually don't work with the user interface all that much, especially with precise numbers. Right. Oh, this is just on completely different thing. Float. String formatting. Yep. For an example, this section contains a string format syntax and comparison with the old % formatting. Accessing number, okay. Accessing arguments by name, access arguments attributes, argument items, placing S and R. Right. Align the text. Applying assign replacing plus F minus F. Putting the value to different days. So I guess if you have a number in a hexadecimal, octa, basically 8-based numbers and binary. Is it octadecimal? I don't think it's octadecimal. Just octal? Something like that. No, it doesn't really matter. 0.6214. Well, we get the same number already, we just need to trim out the numbers. Points total. Oh, expressing a percentage using type-specific formatting. Right. Testing arguments and more complex samples. That's what you think he used? One of this, well, the one I'm using, the one you said before, works just fine. Like, having a 1 at the end, I don't think changes anything significantly. It's not about the number he used, like, numbers make sense. I just want to format the output nicely. Don't worry about it, I'll find it. Like, it's useful to remind stuff like that from time to time anyways. Even though I don't use it all that often. Not an issue. Right. Points divided by total. Point. Ooh. Maybe I can do that. Let's see. Will it actually work if I just call format on that thing? Distance. Equivalent to, so we need to format this. Format. How do this? Guess I just have a placeholder and format it afterwards. Instead of, yeah. Oh, we don't even convert a string, okay. Let's try that. Kilometers, and then I have this indicating that I need 2 numbers after the decimal point. And others can be disregarded. Oh, and this is the string. Result, let's say. Give the string. Here, I take the result, format it, I pass along the actual the distance. I think I can just do it at the end, yeah, it will be the same. It's just the resulting string will be different in one case, well, in both cases. For distance of kilometers equivalent to such and such miles. This for print we convert format by inserting the value. So this is just a way to indicate for the string. Well, if you have curly brackets in the string, it will indicate that this is a placeholder. Something will have to be placed here, and inside the actual curly brackets you can define a bunch of things, how it will be inserted, and one of these is how many decimal points it will have. Well, obviously it expects a number as well. So let's see. Distance 25.2. I remember correctly, miles. Oh, to the power of e plus 1. Okay, that's not what I wanted. It worked, but in a different way. F, fixed point notation. How do I specify that? Oh, this is how I do it. Okay. So if I do F here, capital is F, .2 miles. Okay, okay, now we get a reasonable number. I think the input was incorrect though. It's 26.2, I think. Yeah, 26.2. Let's redo it with 26.2. It was miles. And we get 42.16, which is the same, I think, I believe. Yeah, 22.16. Then we continue, we enter 5 kilometers. Should get 3.10 or something. 3.11. And he gets 3.10. We got 3.11 because it actually rounds the number. Right. Can we work around this? Can we do without rounding? What F should prevent it from rounding the number? Then functions. So G was supposed to round the number. This rounds the number. F explicit digits following the decimal point. Right. The letter E, this is the coefficient from the expression. Point P digits after the decimal point plus 1 significant digits. Pretty sure E means the scientific notation, what we got before. And the decimal point is also removed unless hashtag option is used. General format. Switching to E, number gets too large. Set that it is this current locale setting to insert the appropriate number of separator characters. Okay. Yeah, well, F should have fixed that. Because G should have done. Okay. Let's try G. That changes anything. Started 26.2 miles. Oh. So it rounded up to the whole number. It's not what I wanted. miles. Actually, the difference is with 5 kilometers. Oh. They're 5 kilometers. 3.11 instead of 3.10. Maybe, yeah, now we can play around with the numbers, because they are so close. Maybe if we reduce it by one digit, get the same result. In any case, this is just basically nitpicking. Let's still get 3.11 and 6.2 miles. Still get 42.16, which is still correct. 3. So you thought this could be 4? Okay, let's do that. I imagine we should be using whatever was in your textbook, because there was a reference to a certain paragraph talking about conversions. Imagine. Okay, let's rewrite 6 point. Got 5 kilometers. Still 3.11. Precision. Give precision. Integer dation types are binary, character. Ooh, okay, maybe we can do that. Plus to 6214 there. Okay, so we'll use that as well. Right, so I think he uses something else. C. I use C. Indicate that this is supposed to be like normal string. With a precision like this. It'll work. 6.2 miles. Yeah, it doesn't understand that. Doesn't accept float. Wait, what is it? Enable unknown format code C. Okay, so C is, I don't really use it like that currently. It should be displayed after decimal point for a floating point values with F and F. Before and after decimal point for a floating point value with G. Wait, what's the difference? Before and after the decimal point for a floating point value formatted with G. For non-number types, maximum file size. How many characters will be used from the field content? Oh, so we definitely want to use F or capital F. Oh, S is the default. So can I use C? I think C will be used here. Prevent the rounding by 2. Error C. I'm slightly confused. That's not a good sign, I imagine. They actually use that. Look at the example. Oh, maybe this? X and O. Plate string. You don't need to use that. I don't think he'll have an issue if it's not 3.10. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he will be fine. I'm not fine because I can't can't figure out how to make it 3.10. That's the issue. It's not for the benefit of the lecture. It's my own. It's becoming a personal challenge. Available integer representation types. So I can use C, but let me see how an example where it's used. Right. Available string presentation types are S. But this is what I use usually. The percentage sign. Wrong. Let's see. So I'm just guessing. See if this works. See. Five to 6.2 miles. Understand C. Key error C. So it thinks, so because I start with the brackets, it expects this to be a key. So if pass along a dictionary with a bunch of values, so percentage of 3 can be translated to K. Should have an example here. Should read from the beginning. That's a lot of text. Specific fill align width option precision type. So we have precision, we have type. What is this in this table? Presentation type. Oh. So I guess the type can be C. Oh, okay. So I need to replace this with C. Didn't I do that already? .2 miles. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't accept float. Okay, I feel like I'm I'm being defeated here. Because one of these was supposed to do the rounding, and the other one doesn't say anything about rounding, so I assume it doesn't round the number. Looks like they both do. Point notation, same as F. But it's able to represent not a number or an infinite. Okay. Lowercase should work the same way, 26.2 miles, 25 kilometers, 3.11. Yeah, I really don't like it. I'm not sure how he does it. I'm interested. How he got 3.10? You know, it could be just the case that he was doing the exercise in a bunch of different ways, and whatever result he had at that point, that's what he included. It was like, well, close enough, I guess. Right. Maybe he used different numbers for different conversions, because it's... Sure. You can definitely do that. Like, you can have different number for conversion to kilometers and another number for conversion to meters, to miles. But that doesn't make sense. Why would you do it like that? That's the only reason, only way I can I can find out. I thought there was a way to have only... Maybe he rounds down? That could be a thing. Really sure why though. Well, whatever. Yeah, I give up. I don't care anymore. It was becoming a personal challenge, and I'm defeated at this point. Right, so I guess it's all done. It's not a complicated exercise anyways. Let's see. I'll just send you the result. All 3 files, you can test them yourself. Miles, kilometers, and pain. All edited right just now. Here you go. Right. So, not sure okay. What I was going to do today, otherwise, the original plan was to continue working on my killbot improvements. Let's clear this. And my killbot. Let's see where they stop. Did they cache? Alright, I have a caching. We'll also implement modules here. Prices, I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is my module for managing price cache. Right, mode cache, it just reads all the values from my database, which I initiate here. It just creates basically a table with item ID as a primary key. Well, it's ID, primary key, timestamp, item ID, and price. Well, did you send the program in Discord? I did, yes. It's waiting for your for you to accept, I guess. Well, if it's in, well, if you're not getting it, let me know. We'll try to figure something else out. See, prices. Oh yeah, update cache. Not sure if it's even worth starting this today, because it's almost lunchtime anyways, so I have like 10-15 minutes before I have to go. Yeah, I think I'll just continue tomorrow and just rename this stream to something else. Helping Moefro with his exercise, I guess that's... You're not getting it. Sure how. Oh, I didn't press enter, sorry. Now you should get them. It was waiting for my input, I just added files and I thought it sent them. Right. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, let's rename the stream. Let's not get to the killbot stuff. Helping Moefro. almost done. Right. Appreciate your help. Well, no problem. I, you know, as long, like, teaching is, yeah, I like teaching pretty much, so I don't mind doing stuff like that. I actually started a series where I teach my brother who has no knowledge of programming at all. Like, we did one stream yesterday evening. So for 3 hours I was explaining like basic concepts of programming, and hopefully we'll continue this evening as well. So yeah, so far I just taught him very basic things. How to assign a variable, how to let's not have any description. Yeah, how to assign a variable. I taught him for loop. So yeah, that was pretty much the most advanced concept we did. Reading from file, writing to file. So today, yeah, I'm not sure what we're gonna learn next. Probably defining functions would be a good thing to learn, and maybe if statement, while loop also. I think well, hopefully I'm not going too fast for him. But yeah, that's also an interesting project I'm working on. So yeah, teaching is like, yeah, it's definitely an appealing thing to do. Right. So in any case, I'm done for today, and yeah, we'll be back this evening and tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll continue with my Killbot refresh or update to include new features. And this evening, yeah, I'll continue with my brother if he doesn't, yeah, if he can't come back in time. Right. In any case, see you later.